I have some news for you that may be alarming. Compared to last year, the median sales price of homes in Orlando have dropped 0.5%, about half of 1%. If you're a homeowner, this could be cause for concern, and you might be wondering if the national headlines about a housing bubble are true. Have we finally reached the start of the housing market crash in Orlando? Today, we are looking at the data, and I'm going to be sharing predictions for the rest of this year, and I'll even be discussing the forecast for 2024. So you can be as up to date as possible on the latest info on the real estate market in Orlando. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The median sales price of homes in Orlando has dropped 0.5 year over year, about half of 1%, which is the most recent data I had at the time of this video. But let's take a moment and look at the big picture. First, median sales price in May of 2022 was $379,950, and the median sales price for May of this year was $378. So that 0.5% hardly is a difference in price, and it's fair to say that prices in Orlando are still holding well. In fact, the median sales price has been rising every month since the beginning of this year. The median home price for May was recorded at $378, up from $370 in April, and this is a $28,000 increase since January. We can plainly see that median home prices are on an upward trend in Orlando, Florida. And you may be wondering, why am I talking about the median sales price and not the average? The reason is that the median represents the price in the middle of the range, and that has the advantage of not being heavily skewed by prices that are very, very low and very, very high. But say we did want to look at the average sales prices instead. If we do that, the numbers tell us that home prices have risen by 2.8% between May of 2022 and May of 2023. The average sales price in May of 2022 was $445,544, and in May of 2023 it was $458,116, nearly $13,000 difference. This illustrates why it's so important to take into consideration how data is being used when you see or hear news about the housing market on TV. One type of statistic shows an increase in home prices, and the other shows just a slight decrease or really a flattening. It's also important to take into consideration other factors that play into the market that may cause a housing burst, which is what we'll be diving into next. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to say that if you're finding this information helpful, please like and share and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so you can stay up to date on the most recent updates about the Orlando real estate market. Now on this channel, we've talked about how inventory is related to price increases or pricing decreases in the housing market. If demand outweighs the supply in the market, then home prices will increase. If we have an overabundance of supply, then prices will fall. And for the past few months, inventory has stayed level. There were 5,148 homes in April and 5,149 homes in May. Woohoo! One increase, yay! The median sales prices have increased month over month, and what that tells us is that there is still a limited supply of homes compared to the demand. And I can tell you that I see that in the market. Any of my listings, they're under contract within just a couple of days. Now, while we still have a high level of demand, we have a low seller interest in selling their homes. I mean, you can imagine they have a low interest rate. They don't want to sell. So this is creating a situation where supply isn't keeping up with the demand. And this is good news for home builders. They have the opportunity to provide more supply in this type of market. So let's hope they do that. And you might be seeing headlines indicating that foreclosures are on the rise. While they have increased over the past year nationwide, but foreclosure rates are just about where they were prior to the pandemic. During the height of COVID, many people benefited from government assistance programs such as loan forbearance that is no longer available. So the rise of foreclosure rates rates is likely a result of the market balancing out. We also know that the cost of living in Florida has increased dramatically since the pandemic, and that has played a part in the increase in foreclosures, unfortunately. Yet, the good news is that unemployment rate in Orlando remains low, so foreclosures are unlikely to reach the amount that we saw during the 2000, 2007, 2009 financial crisis. By the way, if you'd like more information on the cost of living in Florida, I recently did a video on this topic that you might want to check out. I will link it at the end of this video. Now, one of the big questions on everyone's mind is what is happening with mortgage rates in the coming months. And when will interest rates be going down? Well, before I give you the predictions, I wanted to let you know what's been happening in the past month with the rate for the 30-year fixed mortgage. In the past month, we have seen these mortgage rates go up, of course, and they've been increasing from about 6.9% to about 7.1%, though they still have not quite reached the peak rates that we saw towards the end of last year, after the Fed started their hikes, their never-ending hikes. Now I'm going to be sharing future predictions about mortgage rates from David H. Stevens, who has 35 years of experience in the mortgage industry. He still strongly believes that interest rates will be heading downwards by the end of this year. Hallelujah! And they will continue to fall in 2024. He also provided validation from other economists who also believe the decrease in rates is coming soon. We sure need that. Also, Michael Frantantoni, who is chief economist of the Mortgage Bankers Association, believes that mortgage rates will be dropping closer to 5.5% by the end of this year and will be somewhat lower next year. So this is your opportunity to refinance if you bought in the past year. Part of the reason for this is that, of course, the rate of inflation is slowing down, which is what the Federal Reserve wants, and that's why they've been doing all these hikes. The Fed takes into consideration inflation when deciding on federal funds rates, which of course indirectly impacts the mortgage rates. So the fact that the rate of inflation is slowing down is a great sign for interest rates. Again, yay! He also stated that home sales are expected to increase after this year, of course, even though home sales have dropped this year compared to last year. Home sales will increase because, there's a huge wave of home buying demand that's going to come from these lower interest rates. And guess who else is going to enter the market? A lot of millennials. Over the next few years, many millennials will be reaching the typical age for first-time home buying, which is around 34 years old. This, coupled with the lower interest rates, will likely result in a lot of home sales and home appreciation. So, if you are thinking about buying a home in the next year in Orlando, these predictions are really important to keep in mind. The Orlando market, as I have talked about earlier in this video, is holding strong because of this strong demand that's been happening despite these higher rates. It's amazing to me. But when these rates come down, there's going to be a lot of demand and therefore more competition. On one hand, having a lower interest rate would be great, but on the other hand, you'd likely need to compete against other buyers in multiple offer situations and potentially pay a higher purchase price for your home. Also, we're in a bit of a correctional period right now with the market where home prices are balancing. The market is slower. So, while year over year, the median sales price of a home is flattening out, these predictions indicate a strong appreciation in the future, not so distant future too. Here is a chart of the history of the median sales price in houses in the US since 1963. It's kind of near my birthday. As you can see at the end of the line, there is a dip in sales price in Q1 of 2023. But despite these dips throughout history, home prices have always gone up. So if home buying makes sense to you financially, now is actually a really good time to buy because of this slowdown in appreciation. And despite the interest rates, it's still a good time. Whether you own real estate or are looking to buy in Orlando, I hope this was helpful to you. I'm Kathy Williams with Team Williams and Compass. We are your Orlando relocation experts. And by the way, if you're looking to move to the Orlando area, we have an awesome relocation guide that you can access by clicking the link in the description box below. We would love to connect with you. So if you have any questions about the Orlando real estate market or the area, please don't hesitate to reach out. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so that you can get all the latest info about the Orlando real estate market.